Hey everybody, what's up? It's Heather Grant, and I promised not to do a business training for May, and I was actually just going to post a training from James Stevens, our Presidential Diamond upline. And when I went to upload it to, I realized as I was watching it, you couldn't hear it and you couldn't see the screen. And so what I'm going to do is I am actually in the next 10 minutes, and it really is only going to take me 10 minutes or less. I am going to blow your mind, and I'm excited to blow your mind, because this is amazing. When James presented this at our business leaders retreat this last weekend, I was shocked, and I think you're gonna be shocked too, so I'm excited. So if you wanna play around with this website is simplyessential.tips. You can go to Goal Planner. It was actually created by James Stevens. But what I'm gonna show you in the next few minutes is the power of duplication and really what it takes to reach the rank of Presidential Diamond. And that it's gonna be a little bit different than what you think it looks like. So the first question that, and the other thing that I was thinking of is as this was playing out, as he was showing us this, I kept thinking about Aaron Rowley. Aaron, you're such a numbers guy. And I thought, oh, Aaron needs to see this because it's really going to blow his mind. And then yesterday I was asking him if he needed anything and how things were going. And he said he needed something. And so Aaron, this is for you. This is going to do what I hope you asked me for. And anyway, it's just going to be brilliant. I think you're going to really enjoy this next few minutes. Okay, so we talked about what it takes to reach Presidential Diamond. And of course, we have a lot of new people and they're saying, oh, it's a lot of work and it's going to take a lot of years and it's really, really hard. And so James asked everybody, he asked us as a class, there's about 30 of us. He said, okay, he said, if you are super committed to building Presidential Diamond and you decided you were going to go at it full out, as hard and fast as you could possibly do, and create massive momentum and just massive movement, how many classes would you teach a month? And he asked the group, and as a group, we collectively decided that if you were a crazy, dedicated, awesome builder, you were willing to put in crazy hours, that you would have around 8 classes a month, right? 2 classes a week, you would just be like killing yourself to make this happen. And we decided that at these classes, right? So if you're doing like an Eric Worre, something's coming up. We already decided that if you were doing like an Eric Worre type thing where you were, going hard and fast and trying to create that momentum and just really do a huge push, you'd have about 8 classes, right? And then we decided that per class, that you usually would get about 5 people to a class, right? That's kind of a standard. You can usually get 5 people to a class, and usually out of those five people that are at the class, 3 of them enroll. And we decided that if you were a crazy, awesome, committed person, had spent time in mindset and skill set training, and were really a dedicated, awesome salesperson, that you could probably sell some bigger kits, right? Some natural solutions kits, every oil kits, diamond kits. You're going to sell more PV and have a bigger PV if you're super committed and an awesome builder. And so we decided that on average, if you enrolled 3 people, that you could probably get at least 250 per person, right? So if you're enrolling 3 people, a natural solutions kit by itself is 400 PV. So we decided per person on average, you're going to get around 250 PV. And this is what I've seen too with really, really excellent builders, okay? So that equals, ends up being about 700 in PV per class, right? So maybe you sell a natural solutions kit and some other smaller kits, or maybe you sell a bigger kit and it's a little bit higher, but that's on average, okay? So then we decided, okay, if you are really pushing for Presidential Diamond, right, you are going to be willing, if you're committed, you're going to be willing to do some one-on-ones. And we decided that, you could probably do two one-on-ones, right, 2 lunch dates. But maybe like on average, let's say you do 5 a month, right? You're doing 1 one-on-one a week plus 1, right? So 5 one-on-ones, same thing. We're gonna assume that you have the same skill set as far as being able to sell, and that you're going to get about 250 PV for each of those enrollments. Okay, so we decided that one-on-one volume you'd be able to create, if you were super dedicated and awesome, around 1,250 in one-on-one volume. Okay, that's holding 5 one-on-ones. Same thing, being able to enroll them with about 250 in volume. Okay, so then we decided, okay, so what that looks like is 18 enrollments, right? And honestly, I've seen there's people that have way more than 18 enrollments a month, right? Like that's doable, totally doable. Some people have 30 and 40. But if you're really committed, you are going full out with 8 classes, you're going to have around 18 enrollments. And then we talked about as a class, okay, how many of those enrollments do you think you could get on LRP? Now, once again, if you have a pretty good sales skill, you're going to be able to get about 10 of those 18 people on LRP, okay? So I'm going to put in the number 10. Now I want you to look down here and I want you to notice that right now you're at about 52 hours a week. Okay, so you're working full time plus some overtime in there to be able to create that, right? That's a full-time job plus some, okay? Now, then the big debate came, okay, how often could you duplicate this, right? If you're trying to find a new builder, how long would it take you to find someone to do that, okay? How long does it take you to find someone who's willing to hold 8 classes a month, who is willing to do 5 one-on-ones on top of those 8 classes, and who has that skill set, right? Who can create that? Who else do you know who can enroll people with an average of 250 in volume and that many people on LRP? We decided that's a little tricky, right? So some people were saying like a year and a half to be able to find someone. Someone else said, oh, I think you could do it in about 6 months. As a class, the average consensus that we decided was that it would take you at least 8 months, right? But in order to find someone who is willing to go to that extreme, you're looking at about 8 months, okay, to be able to find a builder that's going to be able to duplicate those exact numbers, okay? So if you look at the results now, so I want you to look at that. You are looking at an average of 70 hours a week, okay? So you're working 10 hours a day, 7 days a week, or if you're taking Sundays off, you're putting in some 12 and 14-hour days to be able to create that. Average time down here, you can see, like you're gonna reach all of these ranks pretty quickly, but it's gonna take you still about 6+ years to reach Presidential Diamond, okay? So you're looking at about 6 years to do that, and that's if you're holding 8 classes, 5 one-on-ones, you're able to enroll with high kids, okay? Pretty crazy, right? Who wants that life, right? And I look at that and I say, heck freaking no, right? Like 8 classes, like I got family. I want to see them. One-on-ones on top of that, and only being able to find someone to build like every 8 months, like no one wants to do that, right? Like that's not selling the American dream, right? It's going to take you at least 6 years to do this. And you're going to be putting in 70 hours a week, right? Nobody wants to do that, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to erase the numbers, because like you can build that way, but that just doesn't even sound fun. That's not what I signed up for when I was looking at doTERRA. Okay, I couldn't commit to that. I remember saying that I could commit to about 15 to 20 hours a week, right? I could only, it was kind of a part-time thing for me. And I know a lot of you have full-time jobs. Some of you have just had brand new babies. You're getting ready to have a baby. You have families. You have other jobs and other commitments and other lives. And so, that's probably not going to be a good fit for you. So let's go back. And we said, okay, if we have someone who is brand new, right, a brand new builder, and they really don't have the skill set and the mindset, and they're not like super committed, they're just willing to do the basics, what does that look like? Just a minute, I'm doing a training. And we decided that an average person, even a new builder, could commit to about 2 classes a month, right? So we're going to plug in those numbers. Oops. Hold on one second. Sorry about that. See, this is like my kids, right? I could never do 70 hours a week. It would just totally not work for me. Okay, so we decided that a new builder, they could commit to about 2 classes, right? Like that's pretty doable, even for someone who is like, I can only do a couple hours, right? They can do 2 classes a month. And we decided that we're going to keep the same numbers as far as a new person can get 5 people to a class, right? Especially when they have their warm market. New people, they can get 5 people to a class. And they can usually enroll 3 people, right? Like that's very doable. But we decided maybe their skill level wasn't as great, right? Like maybe their skill level is just okay. And so we decided that, PV is going to be a little lower, right? Like they're maybe only going to be able to sell like Family Essentials Kit, right? Like they're going to get about 100 PV per enrollment. So we decided if they have 2 classes and they can get 3 enrollments, your average class PV, even sometimes it's going to be lower than that. Maybe they're not going to be able to sell a kit. They're just going to sell a wholesale account. Per class, we decided that it was going to be 200 PV, right? Or 400 for the month. Okay, that's all the PV they're going to be able to get, right? Because they're new and maybe their skill set isn't that great, okay? So then one-on-ones, we decided, okay, is a new person going to be willing to do one-on-ones, right? And honestly, they're probably not going to be able to do a whole lot. So we decided that a new person, in addition to 2 classes, they might be willing to have two one-on-ones, right? And same kind of a thing, right? Like they're not going to sell a big diamond kit. They're just going to kind of sell a 100 PV kit. And so we decided that with one-on-one volume, that a new person could probably create around 200 in volume each month, right? And so then at the end of the month, when you look at their numbers, they're going to have only about 6 enrollments, okay? And out of those 6, they're really probably only going to be able to get 2 of those people on LRP because they're not that great at those sales skills yet, okay? Now we talked about, okay, how long would it take to find somebody to be able to do this, okay? So first of all, let's just look down here for a second. So at this point in our business building experience, we're only committing an average of 11 hours a week. Okay, like that's nothing, right? That's not even part-time. That's like quarter time, right? So 11 hours a week is doable, right? Anyone can do 11 hours a week. So how often could we find a new builder? So if all they had to do was spend 11 hours a week building, even if they had a full-time job and a family, like anyone can do, 11 hours. Anyone can do 2 classes and 2 one-on-ones. Like that's not that great. And these aren't big enrollments, right? They just have to sell family essentials kit, right? Small bottles and everything. We figured that you could probably find a new builder every month, right? Like you can find someone, and really honestly, like this isn't even a builder, right? Like if we're being honest at those numbers, that's a share. If someone's only willing to hold about 2 classes and 2 one-on-ones, they're only working around 11 hours a week, that really is a share, right? And so we decided that it would take that person, we could find a new builder every single month that's going to be willing to do that as we're teaching, okay? So if this is us and this is what we do, our average is going to be about 23 hours a week, okay? So you're going to be working about 23 hours a week. Look at how long it takes you to reach presidential diamonds, okay? 20 months, you guys. Less than 2 hours, or less than 2 years, okay? If you are willing to hold 2 classes a month and 2 one-on-ones, and you're only selling the family, literally the family essentials kit, and you're finding someone to be able to do that, every single month you're finding someone else to be able to do that, and they're finding someone else to do that, you can reach presidential diamond in 2 years at those hours. Blows my freaking mind, right? How powerful is duplication? Now let's say that you suck at duplication, because some people on our team suck at duplication. I have sucked at duplication at times in my business. Okay, so let's say you are not very good at this, right? Let's say you have a hard time inviting someone else to join. Let's say it takes a while for you to build up the courage to ask someone to hold 2 classes a month. Let's say it takes you 3 months. Let's say you only find someone to be able to do this with you every 3 months, and that they only find someone to do this with them every 3 months. Check out your numbers. 58 months to presidential diamond. Now, to break that down for you, that's about 4.8 years, right? So still in about 4.8 years, even if you're not the best at duplication and you're only finding someone to do this every 3 months, that's how long it takes you. And this just totally blew my mind when I realized we have so many people that are trying to kill themselves. They're trying to teach 8 classes and 5 one-on-ones and all of this crazy stuff. And I think there's a time and a place for that, right? I've done Diamond Club before, and I have done a lot of classes and sampled a lot of people, and I've created momentum in my business at different times and done pushes. And I think that's really important to do on occasion, but we can't continue to build like that, right? Like that's not sustainable. To have 8 classes a month, that's not long-term. We can't do that. But long-term, even when we have other stuff going on in our lives, we can hold 2 classes a month, okay? Now, I want us to think about, these have to be income-producing classes, right? So many people think they're holding a class when they're doing it on Facebook, but they're getting no enrollments. If you are holding Facebook classes and you are not getting enrollments from that, that's not a class. Okay, you spent some time on social media posting stuff, but that didn't help or serve anyone. The only time classes are effective, especially in a online situation, is if you're actually getting enrollments from them. So if you're holding a class time after time again on Facebook and you're not getting enrollments, okay, that doesn't count. I'm sorry, you're not building a business. And if you're not finding someone to do what you do with you, you're not duplicating yourself, right? Like let's say you really suck at duplication and you can only find a new builder or someone to commit to this. Let's say once a year, right? Let's say 12 months. Okay, check it out. Oh, it says try less months, right? It's not even going to calculate it. I love it. It's not even going to let me calculate it, right? It's going to take so long to reach. Let's try 10. It's going to take so long to reach presidential diamond. Yeah, still, see, try less months. It's not even going to let me do it. I love that. Let's see if it does 9. Nope, less months. So 8 is like the maximum. I love it. It's just saying, sorry, it's going to take you too many years, okay? Because that's just, we have to be duplicating. We're never, right? Try less months. We're never going to be, oh, wait, put in 8. Yeah, 6+ years, okay? You're never going to reach presidential diamond if you're not willing to do that. The one other thing that I wanted to mention is you cannot find someone and duplicate in your business to hold 2 classes a month and to hold 2 one-on-ones if you are not doing that yourself. Okay, sorry, this doesn't work. Like you can say all you want about like, oh, I got to find someone to do this. But if you are not willing to have 2 classes a month, and by classes, I mean 5 people that you're teaching, you're enrolling 3 of them, okay, however that looks for you, or one-on-ones where you're actually sitting down with someone, teaching them about the oils, how to get them, and enrolling them. and finding other people to do this with you, then it's going to be hard to duplicate, right? Like that's a hard sell. If I say, hey, come do this, and I'm not willing to put in the hours and the time and do it myself, you can't duplicate that, right? You're never going to find a business builder if you are not living and doing what you speak about. So anyway, just some fun numbers. If you want to go to the site and play around with it, it's a lot of fun. But I wanted you to see that you don't have to kill yourself to reach Presidential Diamond. Really, honestly, you don't even have to sell big kits. Like you can literally build to diamond selling Family Essentials kit for 100 PV. But you have to find people to do this with you. You have to find people who are willing to do what you do, and you have to be doing it so that other people want to join you, and they'll listen to you and they'll say, oh, okay, that's what he's doing. I can do that too. So that's my little message for you today. James did an excellent job. Anytime you can make it live, it's always going to be obviously way more effective than listening to me on a video. But I hope that this blew your mind. I hope that you realize that by the small and the simple things that you do in your business, you can create great, massive things. Think about that. 2 years to create a 6-figure income. If you can do those things and find people to do that with you. That's all I have for today. Bye, guys.